My name is Peyton Wexler, and today I will be discussing New Orleans voodoo and the significance of Marie Laveau. So first, to understand voodoo as a whole, we need to understand where voodoo came from and the roots of New Orleans voodoo. So originally, voodoo was brought to Louisiana by West African enslaved people as well as people from Haiti. And they really were able to spread the religion all throughout Louisiana through the Mississippi River as a mode of transportation and kind of the movement of ideas. That's how they achieved it on the Mississippi River. Some things you should know about voodoo. It's a tolerant and welcoming religion, meaning that they don't exclude people because they weren't born into the religion, or anyone can be a voodooist. Um, Voodoo is a universal term meaning spirit. A large part of the religion is based on the spirits, and it is a very spiritual religion. It's connected to nature, people's ancestors, spirits, divinity. So, let's look at the theology of New Orleans voodoo. So, voodoo believes that there's one God, however, there are many spirits, which can be good or bad. These spirits communicate with the one God, to tell him the wishes of the people that are practicing voodoo and what they are trying to achieve. There's also an emphasis on angels, saints, and ancestors. Um, I would say that voodoo is a religion for those who believe in love, luck, money, success, health, and protection, because that's the goal of practicing the religion, to achieve all of those ideals. So I'm going to discuss some of the important voodoo gods. This is the main god, the one god that we talk about, Banye. Um, he's the creator god, and all of the divine spirits answer to him, which they're also called Loa in voodoo. And the Loa serve as intermediaries between man and Banye, whose existence is beyond human comprehension. Humans can't communicate with him, and he's unknowable to mankind. He doesn't meddle around in the affairs of humankind. So next we have Papa Legba. He's kind of seen as the Loa associated with crossroads. That's why he's thought to be the intermediary between man and the spirit world. He can be seen as a fertility god, a trickster, or the protector of children. It really just depends on the variation of voodoo that we're discussing. Um, and here he is in his typical depiction, straw hat, kind of raggedy clothes. That's how you would be able to identify him. He's also normally accompanied by his dog. This is Baron Samedi, and the best way or comparison that I could think of him as would be like Bacchus or Dionysus from ancient Greek and Roman mythology. Um, a little bit of He's kind of known for being outrageous and lewd. He's swearing, he's married, but he's always having affairs with other women. However, he is also the god of death and the keeper of cemeteries, and he is the god of resurrection. So, he is who you would call upon to reach your ancestors who are dead, and he is actually able to cure any mortal wound, but people who have wounds cured by him have to pay the price, which is not always an ideal situation because he's kind of evil. Okay, next we have Erzulie. She's the goddess of beauty and love. Similarly to ancient and Greek mythology, she would be Aphrodite or Venus. She really represents maternity, womanhood, fertility, and she grieves for what she cannot obtain for everyone. She would leave ceremonies weeping. And here she's depicted as the Black Madonna. She can also be depicted as a light-skinned, mixed-race, upper-class woman in expensive jewelry, nice clothing. And I think that showing her as the Black Madonna here really draws on older traditions, such as those in Byzantine art, where we have the gold halo around the head of the Madonna. That's typical for Byzantine art. something that they really truly practice. And here we see it again in New Orleans voodoo many years later. Next, we have Dumbala. He's really one of the most important Loa. He's this serpent figure. He can swim in the sea, he can walk on land, very versatile. And he's the creator who helped Banye make the cosmos. His coils shape the heavens and earths, and he's the keeper of knowledge, wisdom, and healing magic. So those are some of the most important Loa and the god Banye. So to access the spirits, voodooists typically perform ceremonies using spells, formulas, rituals. The charms of voodoo are thought to offer protection against danger and evil. There's no death because you can access your ancestors and the spirits through the Loa. And the spirits are really the ones who are doing the day-to-day kind of work. You're not praying to God, you're praying to the spirits. And connection with these spirits can be obtained through various rituals such as dance, music, chanting, and even snakes. So here I'm actually going to read a description of an author's recollection of a ceremony near the spot where the Bayou Techupalas meets Lake Pontchartrain. About 300 people, including Marie Laveau, the voodoo queen, had set up a cauldron. Into it were placed water, black pepper, and a snake cut into 3 pieces, a cat whose throat Marie Laveau personally slit, and a live black rooster. All the while, singing and chanting filled the air. Then everyone disrobed while Marie Laveau put powders into the pot and conducted secret rites. At 12 o'clock, all hands raced into the lake. Later, there was more singing, dancing, eating, drinking, and recreation in the bushes. The ceremony closed with a sermon by Marie Laveau and a prayer of benediction. So that's kind of how the typical ceremony would go. You would sacrifice animals depending on what type of spirits you were trying to reach, and there's definitely an aspect to voodoo at this time when it originated in New Orleans that did involve animal sacrifices, not so much in voodoo today, but back then it was really popular. Voodoo healers are also very popular because they're able to heal people using herbs and plants, and it's very much cheaper than going to a typical doctor. So this was kind of big throughout the Yellow Plague because some of these voodoo healing techniques were actually more effective than the medicinal ones that doctors were practicing. Next, we have to talk about the voodoo doll because it's kind of an iconic part of voodoo. So it's kind of said that, or it is said that to reach the spirits, you need to use a grease, which is a magical act or the object used for magic. It can be either one. The object can even contain the magic in itself. So the voodoo doll is a grease. It's kind of something to help during ceremonies. They would have them. Just sitting on a table by itself, there's nothing special about the voodoo doll. It's just like any other doll. But when you penetrate the doll with pins, that's what activates the magic. So it's said that the body of the doll would be the material incarnation of a person, and you would try to reach them by attaching their name to the doll and then penetrating them. So here we see the pins on the doll, and that's what would typically occur when you were trying to reach an ancestor spirit. Next, I want to discuss Marie Laveau. She was the most famous voodoo queen. She lived from 1771 to 1881, so a very long life. She was a Catholic, and she encouraged followers to go to church. She was very close with the bishop, very involved in the church. She was a skilled naturopath, so she was very good with herbal remedies. People would come to her as a doctor, especially during the yellow fever. And she was also just had a lot of intellect. Politicians, lawyers, businessmen, they would consult her before making huge financial decisions or life-changing decisions because they thought that she had some sort of mystical quality to herself that could assist them in their decision making. So people would actually go to her home, and her home is still open today. It's in the outskirts of the French Quarter. Here we can see the outside of her house. And then here we see the inside today, which is turned into more of a souvenir shop that you can go and visit. So in terms of voodoo today, this is this castle looking church type of thing. That is the Voodoo Spiritual Temple in New Orleans. It's the only formally established voodoo temple in existence today. However, voodoo does still remain in practice for people to access ancestors and spirits. Today, rituals are held privately, no more like giant gatherings and sacrifices, but you can find people who will perform a ritual with you or assist or give you a private reading. More than 50 million people still practice the religion today, a majority being Haitians. The upper class Haitians, which is a small percent of Haitians, they practice Catholicism, but the rest usually practice voodoo, and they are the majority. So that's how voodoo lives on today. So throughout this project, I've learned a lot of new and interesting facts that I never thought I would learn before. The only thing I associated with voodoo was kind of the voodoo doll, and I think that that's not really that important in voodoo. I mean, it is important in the ceremonies, but that's not the gist of the religion. The gist is accessing spirits and being a spiritual being. Um, and really just kind of a community. Voodoo is a community. And I think that it's really interesting to learn about that because voodoo is not a religion you would typically think about. Like when you think of religion, it's not the first one that's going to come to mind. So I definitely got to delve deeper into something I would not have learned about, thought about, or even really had that much of an interest in until I created this project. So thank you.